Hello and welcome to this very lo-fi and short intro and tutorial on UltraBeat, which is available in Logic Pro. It's a drum synthesizer, and what we're going to use it for is to load our own samples into the pads. So we're going to create an empty kit and then load our own samples, and I'll also show you about groups, which allows you to do open and closed hi-hats. I already have UltraBeat loaded up, and we're going to just jump into the interface. And what I'll do is, don't mind this. This is a very just impromptu tutorial, so I'm just going to keep it pretty loose.
Untitled tracks.
So here's the interface for UltraBeat. First thing you want to do is start from the top, VO right until you hit factory default.
Toolbar. Bypass checked. User default.
Or user default.
Sidechain.
It'll probably say factory default for you, but it's basically or it might say manual. It's where you drop down and it has Logic presets if you save them or if they've been made available by default. So let's bring it up.
Menu.
What I like to do is I just arrow up with quick nav off, so I start from the bottom.
Tutorial settings.
Tutorial settings.
Drum banks.
Drum banks.
Drum kits.
Drum kits is what we want. Now the preset that we want to load is called drag and drop samples, because what we have loaded right now is the default kit. So the problem with this is that there's a lot of EQ and effects applied to a lot of the pads, and we want to get rid of all those, and we want to start from scratch. So like I said, the preset we want is called drag and drop samples. So I'm just going to type DR.
Drag and drop samples.
That's what we want. Now we have an empty kit. Nothing is loaded onto the pads. So next thing you want to do is, if you don't have this as a default, you want to change the view to controls, not editor. So I'm going to VO Shift FN and the right arrow to go to the bottom of the screen.
Button.
VO left 2 times.
Link. Bunch. View. Mail.
There's view. And what we want to do is change it to controls.
Controls. Controls.
Now there are like almost 700 controls available to us in this interface, so it's going to slow down voiceover. So be prepared to have Logic be busy. Like I'm going to try to go into it. It's going to be busy, I'm sure.
Logic Pro X busy.
And pardon the refrigerator, which just turned on.
Logic Pro X.
Like I said, this is definitely lo-fi. Apologies for all the noise. Now we're interacting with the scroll area. The first thing is master level.
Master level.
So you can interact with that, change the master level. The thing that's most interesting to us is
voice select.
Voice select. And this allows us to, this essentially allows us to choose what key we want to load the sample on. The first thing is
01, sample 01.
Sample 01, that would be C1. So we'll keep it at that. We want to load a kick onto that.
Voice.
Next thing we want to do is go to the load sample. So I'm going to use the item browser, which is VO Control Option I. It'll be busy.
Logic Pro X busy.
A lot of items to
item chooser menu. Logic Pro X.
Go through. Now I'm going to type load.
One item. Load sample.
That's what we want.
Load sample.
Now when you're dealing with a lot of items like this, sometimes the focus can be a little screwy.
Trigger mode.
So it wasn't totally on, but I'm going to go back.
Logic Pro X busy. No sample loaded. Load sample.
That's what we want. No sample loaded is what's
no sample loaded.
There. It's a drop-down menu. So to put something
menu check mark
on this pad,
load sample.
We're going to go to load sample. It brings up a browser.
Load sample. Press. No sample loaded.
Now by default, it opens the folder that contains all of the UltraBeat samples.
Adept machine folder. Boutique 78 folder. Boutique 808 folder. Boutique 909.
So you got a lot to choose from within the default.
Boutique SP12 folder. Classic UK hip hop.
What I want to do is I want to use my own. So I'm going to go all the way to the desktop. Go to my
JK volume. September 20
hard drive that has my samples on it.
Drums folder. October list view. Machine expansions folder. Vintage keys folder. Drums folder.
Okay, now I want a kick drum.
Kick folder. October 5th.
So I have a kicks folder. Let's open that folder. I'm going to use the arrow keys again with quick nav off. Just press it down once.
Kick. One track M1.wav.
So that sample.
October 5th, 2016.
Okay, quiet.
6.
That sample is selected. Now the cool thing about UltraBeat is it actually allows you to play your keyboard as you're scrolling through the sounds. So that's kick 1.
Kick. One track kick 2 spec. Aids disco. Kick 800. Kick 800 in fat low. 00. Kick 800 in fat low. 002.
So I'm just hitting the key as I scroll through. Sometimes voiceover can be a little annoying.
800 in fat low. 002b.wav. Waveform audio. October 5th. Kick 800 in fat low. 003b.wav.
Why not? I'll choose that one.
Drag and drop samples. Side chain.
Now
Load sample.
let's switch. Let's load a snare.
Master level.
Go back to the top with VO, FN shift, and left arrow. Since I'm on a MacBook Pro,
Voice select.
go down 1.
01. Sample 01.
Switch it to 03. We don't want to load anything on the rim.
02. 03.
I want
sample.
something on D1.
Press 03. Sample.
Item chooser again with Command
Logic
Option
OX busy.
I.
Item chooser menu. One item.
Load.
Sample.
That brings up load sample.
Load sample. Kick 800. Load sample.
This is a funky thing about UltraBeat. I think it's because there's so many items that the voiceover won't read the correct value for certain things. So it says there's a kick drum on this, which is incorrect. The way to find out what is truly there
Load sample.
is to
Kick 800.
open the menu and watch.
Menu check mark. No sample loaded.
No sample is loaded. That's more accurate. So don't get
Press. Kick 800.
confused by some of these things that are read incorrectly.
Load sample.
Let's load a sample.
Load sample.
I'm
UltraBeat.
going to find a snare, so I command up to get out of that folder. I'm going to press
Snare folder.
SN.
October list view. Snare 2 big crush.
So now that I'm in this folder, I don't have to press play or anything. It's just already, I'm going to press D1 on my keyboard.
Snare 60. Snare 60. Snare 8. Snare 800. Snare 800. Snare 800. Snare 800.
I want something with a long tail, so why not? And so you can kind of, you can see how it sounds before you actually load the sample, which I think is fantastic.
Drag and drop.
Now we have these loaded. Now what I want to do is, we'll quickly, let's load 2 hi-hat
Master
sounds.
level. Voice select. 03. Set menu check mark.
So we want to load something on F sharp. We're on D1 right now. So
04.
D sharp,
05.
E,
07.
F,
07.
F sharp. I just, if you remember that 7 is where the hi-hat usually is on a GM kit.
07.
Let's go back to load sample.
Logic Pro X busy. Item chooser menu. One item. Load sample. Load sample. Load snare 800.
Again, the focus is wrong. It says there's a snare there. That's not right.
Menu check mark. No sample loaded.
No sample is
Mail.
loaded.
Load sample.
Load sample.
Load sample. UltraBeat. List view. Hand drum folder. October 5th. Hit hi-hat folder.
Hi-hat.
Lit. Close.
Now we can preview it. I'm pressing F sharp 1.
Close HHA's vinyl. Close HHA's vinyl 2.wav waveform audio. October 5th, 2016. 6:27 a.m. 7 kilobytes. Waveform audio.
I mean, why not? This is
Drag and drop sample.
that's there. Now let's load one more sample on the A sharp key.
07. Sample menu check.
So
08. Sample 08.
be G,
09.
G sharp,
10.
A,
11.
A
Sample
sharp.
Press 07.
This is usually where the open hi-hat sound is.
11. Sample 11. Logic Pro X busy. Item chooser menu. One item. Load sample. Load sample. Close HHA's vinyl 2.wav.
That's not
Menu
correct.
checkmark. No sample.
No sample is loaded.
Load sample.
So basically, it just kind of gets hung up on the last thing that it was
Press. Close HHA's vinyl 2. Load sample.
open.
Open HH4bit.wav.
And again, I'm going to press A sharp while I scroll through it. No.
Open HH808.wav waveform audio.
808.
October 5th. Open HH808.
Yeah, why not? That'll be easy to demonstrate. So
Drag and drop.
now I want these hi-hats to cut each other off, right? Because right now, we don't want that. So it's very similar to EXS terminology. If you've ever used the EXS sampler to load in drum sounds, use the item chooser and go to the, just type in group, and that'll get it done for you.
Busy.
Oh,
Item
it's still
chooser
busy.
menu. Logic Pro. 26 items. Group.
Group, that's what we want.
Group. Off.
It's set to off. This is a drop-down menu.
Menu check. 1.
Let's set it to 1.
Press 1.
Go back to the top of this with VO Shift FN left arrow.
Master level. Voice select 11. Sample 11.
Let's go back to sample 7, which is the closed hi-hat.
07. Sample 07. 07.
Item chooser again.
Press 07. Sample item chooser menu. Logic. 26 items. Group.
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 Again, it's going to be wrong.
Off.
Oh, no, it's actually correct. I stand corrected. It actually refreshed.
Menu.
We want to set this to 1.
1. Press.
Now, gotta move the headphones out of the way. I'm not even gonna try to do any drums. There you go. That is a quick look at loading your own samples. Now, there's a lot to this program. There's a lot you can do. There is EQ that we have access to. There are effects that we can turn on and off. And the way that this works is that it's a 2 oscillator. There's 2 oscillators per pad. So one of these oscillators is dedicated to loading a sample. That would be oscillator 2. Oscillator 1 is more of a synthesizer where you can fatten up the sound or load some extra layer on top of the sample already on that pad. If you want to go there, obviously just type OSC. That'll bring you to oscillator 1.
Logic Pro X busy.
You're going to hear that a lot.
Item chooser menu. 40 items. OS1.
Oscillator 1.
OS1.
So the first thing is turning it on or off. It's off right now.
Off. On.
But you just go, so these are buttons that you can toggle on.
Off. OS1. OS1 filter / FX.
You can turn on the filter FX. That's off now.
OS1 type.
Type.
Shaper.
There's a shaper,
Menu check. FM.
FM,
Fixed.
and
FX.
I don't even know what this is.
Press.
But these are different types of
FM
synths.
checkmark. Shaper.
Let me just load.
Shaper.
Let me
OS1
turn it
type.
on and
OS1,
see what
OS1.
it.
Off. On. Press on.
Now we were on the hi-hat, I believe. So you get this very. That would be really good, I think, under a snare, and you can tune it and change the character of it.
Off.
I'm going to turn it off now.
Press off. OS1.
And I should correct myself. There's oscillator 1, oscillator 2, and noise, which is very, very useful in drum samples. And to get to each of those, just use the item chooser. That's the quickest way to navigate through this huge list of parameters. That basically does it. Like I said, this was a very quick and impromptu look at UltraBeat. Hope it was helpful.